Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. For those traders who are in the subscription list or the installment list, we're moving some of you whose payment is almost full with a few payments remaining into the group. You will continue your payment, but you will join this course that is starting now, right? So I've just spoken to Victor. He's going to contact those of you who have very small payments. If you have paid about more than half, we should be putting you over to the group. If you haven't completed your payment, you have a few installments, but you would like to pay at least half, we can bring you into the this course, because I don't know when next course is going to be, still in August or so. So you can start your learning process as early as possible. So if you're watching this and you have 3 payments and you like to be in the group immediately, see if you can continue at least a half of the payment, and I'll get Victor to move you over. Right? So the idea is to get all of you to start learning as quick as possible, but we have a lot of people with only 1 or 2 payments who joined not too long. So we'll have to give them some time to get used to it and then be ready for the next course. So that's the information for you. Let's start. So the course is starting today. Don't worry if you miss a day, there's no problem with that. It's a 6 weeks course. So missing 1 or 2 days is not a problem, especially the first 2 weeks, which would be pretty much classes. The practical part is what you don't want to miss. So let's go. There's a trade set up here immediately that we're looking at. You might want to set this up, but by the time you get it, it's gone. Right? By the time it's recorded and it's put out there, it's gone. I haven't done the weekly outlook, so I was thinking whether I should do the weekly outlook or whether I should give this over as the weekly outlook. The problem is I don't know whether I've said anything so far that shouldn't be for the general public. That's the next problem. I'll have Victor review it, and then we'll consider whether this will go on YouTube. Because from the time I click recording, sometimes it's only for internal purpose. Anyway, let's go. So dollar index. Dollar index, we're looking at possible downside. This could end up being a bigger consolidation, right? If you look at it, it could be a bigger consolidation. And if that is the case, we'll be going down mostly, right? We had a consolidation here already. The drop broke the low, and then they pull back and they're going. That could just make a more extended consolidation. So even breaking the low itself here doesn't really mean anything. They could still pull back and go and make this a much bigger consolidation. So just be aware of that. I think we're consolidating for downside. Now, the further this goes and the more it goes down, the chances are it could be the start of the downside, right? If we start to get a deeper pullback here to it, then we will decide what it's doing, if it's a bigger consolidation or is upside. So as of now, it's looking very much like we're attempting to go break this low. I hope so. Gold is making a flat, and that is very good because that flat is for upside. Now there is a chance that this would, it could come back here because the fact it's contracting. It could come here, make a regular flat and go. But so far we're looking at this as a possible flat pattern. Now this morning I warned about buying in the 15 minutes that it could still come here and it could go back up. So in the Asian session, we were discussing whether we need to buy this. And I was like, be careful because this could still come here and then go back up. And that would be 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then upside. I think that would be a very nice flat pattern for the upside. Silver had a sell setup, and I think it could still be a sell. Now, the sell in silver might be short term. You have to be careful if you're taking it. Sorry, excuse me for that. Yep. If you're taking this, because it could probably just come here and go back up. I think there's a possibility we might be making a running flat here. So I can see them coming somewhere here and then going back up. Just be careful with that, right? So far, it's a sell, and we'll take the sell, and then we'll see where that leads to, because we have a flag and we have everything showing downside so far. Euro. So Euro, we had a pattern in there. We broke out, tagged the top, we pull back. So here's the problem now. At this point, anything could be happening. Anything is possible. We could look at this as a complete corrective structure, make a new top, and trying to come down if this turns out to be a flag here, right? Or you can look at this as all one more complex pattern forming, and that is possible for upside, right? Complex corrective structure in the middle. So let's go look at this way. You can either put this as a regular flat, or you can decide that these 2 sharp waves in here, the first 2 sharp waves with a correction in here, which would be in this case an expanding flat in the middle, right? An expanding flat in the middle makes a regular flat here with 1, 2, 3, and we're going up, right? We looked at it. It's possible. Both of those patterns are very, very possible. which means if you're going to get a buy setup, we need to have a flag here. Anywhere between here and here, we want a flag for a buy, or on the break of the top with a flag. Not just the break of the top with a flag, right? That is possible. If we don't get that, and let's say they're going down, then you would want this to consolidate here. You'd want this to come back here like this, do this, and if we get a flag here or a correction, that would be a sell setup. So those are the two options we're looking at right now. It could go both ways. We're still in the 4-hour corrective downtrend, right? This is a corrective downtrend. We're still in this. And so far, it could go this way, or it could come back here more. None of that is changing anything. This one came down and then go back up. We could come here and then go back up. That might give you divergence, and we might still go back down. I don't think this is coming down. I think this is either making deeper corrections or we're breaking out today. I'm more inclined to believe deeper corrections, simply because this is too small. But if we're trending back to the top here, then that small one is enough. You don't need to get a deep one. They could break out here, make another small one, go, make another small one, go, make a deep one here, end the move, and then turn. The deep one would show you divergence. So let's keep an eye out for this trade. Pong, we're at the top there, and now it has to tell us what it's going to do. So two things we look for in the Pong. It's either going to try to come back here, make a new low, or make a flag here and break out. Or break out, make a flag, and continue to go. So on the 1 hour, it did exactly what we wanted it to do. Perfect. Went to the top, came down, went to the top. And just in case you want to understand why this is happening, join today's class. I've spoken to this in depth on this trade when we were discussing news in the room. For those of you who were there, you heard it. Those of you who weren't there, we didn't record it, but I will record that today because I'll take this as an example. This would be an example, a number of more trades. I'll show an example. Why you need to focus on the patterns, because that is what is most important. Not the news. The news is just a distraction to you. And by the way, you will never get the real reason out of the news. You may think to yourself, you know why this is happening because you read about it somewhere. That's a misconception. That's a misinformation. That is, you think you know why. You don't know why. I'm telling you now, you don't know why. Most of the reasons that will be given to you are just, they seems to fit well, but they're not true. You don't have to trust me in that. Trust the guy who has all the information in the world. President of the United States of America, and he knew a lot of them were false. Because he had different information, and he told you so. So that might be the only true thing he has said to everybody. Most of the news are false news. I wouldn't say fake. I would say they're not fake in the sense that they were not made up. They're kind of like they're out there, but they're not the real thing, right? They're kind of like what an alternative of what you can give to what is the correct thing, why they're doing it, right? That's their alternative motive, put it that way. That's not the real motive. So watch this. Two things we can see today. They would either, when you get a pattern like this, they would either drop it or they'll make a flag here, which would confirm to us that they're going to go up more. A flag or a correction ever. I'm more inclined to believe we'll get a drop. Aussie looks upside. So if we get a flag here, we can go for a buy. Now, there's a chance that this could be a running flat. There's a flag in the middle here. You can see that. There's a chance that this is a running flat. And we go down one more. That will still be correction downwards, right? Do we have a sell setup? No, you just can't sell it there based on that, right? Even if you assume that that's a running flat, that's not a strategy of trading running flats. We'll have to put the entry here and the stop here. But what if we get a flag here? That confirms at least one more up, back to the top. And that means we'll buy it, and this could either break out, or from that point, we can come down again, just making more corrections. So for the sell, it's under the low. For the buy, if you get a flag. New Zealand, same here. I'm more inclined to go downside with the New Zealand. You see, we had an entry or thing. I think this was for the news or something for the sell. So take that out. Let's see what happens there. This is a 15-minute one. I really don't like it. I want a bigger correction or a more complex correction here before we go down. If you want to put an entry or under the low, that's not a bad idea. If it drops, it can drop straight through. CAD. sideways for now. And I think there's a good reason why we put the entry order. I explained that this morning in the trading room, why I put the entry order there and not here, because we still have this one here. See, we have that up move there. And this could be 1, 2, 3. We could still get this up move, completing this pattern, and then get the drop. So I think you can see it playing out now, right? That if you took the trade here, you better take break even. For the very same reason we said, watch this one. We're not sure it belongs to that, but if it belongs to that, they're going to go back up. That is why you want to stay under the low. So let's see. I think once they go back up, I'll just put this here. If they go back up, break the top, we start to look for a sell setup. It's a big flat for downside. So we'll look for the sell setup. Do we think this is part of this running flat? If we think that is a running flat there, it could be, then this would drop. If not, then we're making a running flat here. We're making 1. We're going to make 2 when this come here and come back here. Right? We're going to make 1 more up. We'll get a big running flat, and then we'll get the drop. I could already see that happening. So even if we get this sell here, we'll be very careful. Swiss, looking for a sell. It could go up a little more, but I don't think we're keen. There is a small buy setup on a 15 minutes here. You could probably do this, but this whole entire pattern is downside. Right? See, they made 1 here. They go, they can do this, they can break the top again, but the entire structure looks downside. So if we're going to sell either an entry under the low or wait for this to drop some more, make a flag here, and now we're going to go. That will negate the possibility of a buy. You need the flag for that purpose. Right? Right now, it looks like a small 15-minute buy. That could change if this drops some more, make a flag. That would just be a slow move down. We have those slow moves down that look like correction, but they're just slow move down. The entire structure is downside, and we know where we're going on this one, right? Another one that pretty much you didn't need the news to tell you what is going to happen to it, right? And it happened. We got the sharp move up. Let's see if we get a down move. So far, it's looking good. I think we have a running flat here. So if this drop, I wouldn't be surprised. Can they drop here and then go to make a deeper correction? That is possible. This could be a smaller correction within the impulse. They drop 1 more, go back up, make a bigger correction, and then drop. So if they drop, if you're in the sell and it drops, it will likely break the low, but it might not go very far, which means the worst case is you're going to get break even out of a trade like that, right? Most times you make profit. If you get the trade somewhere here, or if we get a flag here and we sell it from there, it drops like this and start to go back up, you'll get out of that trade. We do have some divergence, so you'll get out of that trade, go for a bigger correction. I don't think this is starting the bigger correction. We did break the low, but I don't think that is starting the bigger corrections yet. If you think that is starting the bigger correction, go for the buy. Right? Let's say you think this is bigger correction is already started, then go for this buy. Right? Worst case, it's going to do this and come back. You try to get break even out of it. I think I'll probably stay away from that buy for now. Yen dropped. Where is yen going? It could go lower. We'll watch the last impulse up if we break through that, because if we break through that, we're either making bigger corrections or we're totally going down. We still have this one hanging here, nothing to go with it. So I still don't think it's a contracting flat. I don't like contracting flats, so I'm not going with a contracting flat as yet. Most contracting flats becomes running flat, which means they do this and then go back down, and that would be a perfect running flat for 1 more down. So if you're selling the yen, move your stops to positive, because this could go back up. If we get a flag, we sell again, move your stop to positive or take profit, because it can go back up. Once this is out of the way, you can stay with the sell for a longer period, right? So right now, and we still haven't broken the top of this one, just like we haven't broken the low on the dollar index. So this has a top to break, the dollar index has a low to break. They're supposed to be going in the same direction, right? Who knows? We'll see. Again, it's a complex pattern in the making. And this piece could be all a very complex pattern by itself, come back here and then go, or we were trying to go up here now, and that is a smaller pattern in here, right? So when you start to get that much wave, anything is possible. You could look at this one as being completed, 1, 2, 3, and we're trying to go up. That is one option. The second option as well. They're just making this one much more complex. And all these waves are just part of a bigger corrective structure. Come back here, go back there, and then drop. See? So sometimes it's better to wait until you get a flag from one direction or the other, and then you take a trade. Swiss, we didn't break the top. Swiss yen, we didn't break this top. See, that is a problem. It means we're just in a deeper correction. When you don't break the top, you could be going down, but that will still be a deeper corrective structure. I think if we get sell setup here, we should take it. There was a sell setup from the top here. I think some of you saw that. Friday, we saw that. I don't know how many of you are still in the trade. If you're still in the trade, we were in the trading room Friday when we took that trade. If you're still in the trade, good. If you're not in the trade, no problem. I hope you can get back in, right? So we'll wait for it. So what we're looking at, this has a 1, 2, 3. You've got a sharp move up. A sharp move up that didn't break the top is leaving you open for more corrective structures in the future, right? Can we look at this as a big expanding flat there? Possible. If we get another flag here, we go for the sell. Anywhere under, even if they drop here and make another flag, we'll sell. If they reverse, if they drop to this level and reverse, well, this would be a big correction for upside. One more up. And that is possible. So let's wait and see. New Zealand yen, we're going down. And I think we could come down a lot more. We're looking at the structure, the possibilities. This is a correction and this is a correction. They're already coming down. We had a sell set up there. If you didn't take that one, there's a second one here. If you didn't take that one, there's probably another one forming here. And if they keep making so much corrective structures here, we might go back up for one more. So look for a sell setup here for today, and then we'll see. Aussie yen. I think we can look for the upside so far on this one. This is the only yen pair you might want to look for the upside. The only part you have to watch is this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come back here. Complete this 1, 2, 3 pattern. And then go back up. If that happens, we will have another big flat in here. See? That will just make it very complicated. The entire pattern will be very, very complicated because then we have what we think is a perfect running flat. We're not supposed to have another big correction there. Right? When you get a perfect running flat like this, you go up. See? So I don't know which one is going to work. Let's wait and see for this. I don't think it should be that complicated, which means this needs to take off right now. If that takes off right now, that's a good trade. Aussie CAD. Looks like a correction forming. This one is going up as a bigger correction after we broke out of this. Remember, we looked at that. We go up, come back, go up. This should come back here, give you a flag, come back here, and then go back up more. Just like this, you got a flag there, you drop, and then they go more. So we need a flag here, downside, and then more upside. I don't see, we have a sharp move here, and we're kind of correcting it. So I don't think we're totally going back up. We're kind of correcting. We'll drop one more and then go. Aussie Swiss. A little more up would be perfect. Maybe this piece will give you some more up here. So if we get a flag here, we can look for that. Little more up and then the downside. If you miss the upside, go for the downside. Could it be that this is all for the upside? It's not perfect, but we'll see. I don't think that is all. It's kind of not so perfect. So we'll see where it goes from there, right? I don't really like that one. It's too short. So let's see if we get some more up. Aussie New Zealand. 1 second, guys. Sorry, guys. I had to take that call. Yeah. So Aussie New Zealand, we could be looking at a possible running flat here. I think we were expecting this to form for a while. It took a long time to form. By the way, you guys can hear me just to make sure I'm on. Somebody give me yes, please.
Yes, Anil.
Okay, thank you. Yep. So you can get a trade coming down here. We can keep our eyes on for that. I don't like the whole structure here to trade. I think the best thing is stay out of it. The way they move is, I mean, this took very long just to form a running flat, which is, you can see, right? It's not giving you trades that is going to go immediately and give you profit. You'll be in weeks for it before you go one pip. So best thing, stay out of it. Euro New Zealand, we're going down. This piece looks upside, but right now it's going down. So there's possibility you can be doing this. If we stay in this sideways here, we'll expect one more down, right? That is possible, but we're still looking at this pattern. We haven't broken the top. We went right up there. When you get that, you're always looking for flat patterns, which means that when they come back here, break the low, they go, but we haven't broken the low either. Now, contracting flats are rare, but they do happen. So if this is going to be a contracting flat, I think some of us bought this on Friday and we closed the trades. Those of you would remember in the one where we bought that on Friday and we closed the trades early. This was the buy. That was the buy setup. Some of us bought here if you wanted, whichever you buy. I bought this one on the break of this because I want to exclude this expanding flat. Go here, come back, go close the trade. Right? So that's a small trade. But right now we have to decide what is going to give us if they're going to break the low, because the possibility is they can break the low. We're getting a flag here right now. So I think there's a good chance we will come and break this low, or we would even make a bigger correction here and then break the low, right? Something like come here, go back up and then break the low and then go. That is very possible. We had a big correction in this one. We had big corrections in this one. So there's no problem with making a big correction here, drop, break the low, and then go back up. Right, that will give us. 1 second, guys. I just have to take this call. It's for the hospital. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, that was okay. Let's go. So watch this here. We might get a sell setup, but I don't think it's a sell we want because we were inside of this move, which means even if you get a sell setup, they'll probably do this, go back up there, come here, break the low, and then go up. So if we get this pattern confirming the upside this week, this would be a good trade that you want to take because that would mean a very, very big move to the upside. It could mean the end of the weekly downside move, weekly, daily downside move, which is this one. We're expecting it to go a little more, right? We think it could go a little more, but you're getting some sharp up move here. And if you get a very big flat here, right? It doesn't mean it's going to go, but if you get a big flat here, at least you're expecting an impulse back to the top. And that could be the impulse that go. This could be a 1, 2, 3, and you still drop here lower. We'd have that case here. So remember, look at this one here. See? All right, and that is on a down move. And they made another one, and then they made another flat here, and then they dropped. So if you're looking after the big flat, which is after this big flat, this was the big flat here. This was a big contracting flat. And it's a perfect flat, by the way. It's a contracting flat, a sharp impulse, a lot of corrections in there, another one there. Nothing is wrong with a contracting flat except they don't break this top. You get a drop, you started to make flags. You make one, you drop, you make another one, you drop. Then you make a flag here to turn, right? So the question is this the flag for the turn here? If that's the flag for the turn, good. If that's not the flag for the turn, we come back here, we go back up there, make a flat, drop one more, make another flat, drop one more, make another flat, drop one more, and then we get the turn. Right? You will get the turn. The question is when. We are always anticipating that it could be this one. Right, especially, and I think this is one of the downside of wave analysis is that you see structure happening way before they happen. We know, all of us looking at this now, absolutely sure with a 90% guarantee that we're going to get that up move, and it will come. The problem is you're looking at a daily chart, and you're telling yourself as well as you're telling everybody who say, "Hey, this thing is going to go up," and if you're telling them now that it's going to go up, they'll probably think you're crazy because it might not go up now. It might drop here and then drop here and then drop here. And 3 months from now, they'll say, yeah, really, it's going to go up. And then it goes up. If you want a proof of that, all you have to do is go back to TradingView and watch this piece from the time we broke this low. We had 1, we had 2, we had 3. And you would hear me say the same thing. Let's see if we can buy this to go up. And then it did this. And I said, okay, here's a flat. As soon as we break the low of that flat, let's see if we're going to get this to go up. And then it made another flat. And I said, okay, when it makes another flat, when we break the low of that flat, let's see if we're going to get that to go up. So what's the biggest mistake I made there? The only thing is, of course, is the timing because I can see it. And the second thing is the sharpness with which I thought it would go because my thought process was this was all the consolidation. This here was all the correction. This was the impulse and that this one would go like that. As a matter of fact, there was a chart in TradingView said 303 free pips. Why? Because there was somebody who was giving up 1,001 free pips. And it was exactly in this chart I showed that you're going to get an impulse that will come to break this top. Now, we did go break the top. We did get an impulse, which is this one that we traded. You get a bigger correction. Sorry, you get a small one here. And this, you got a big one here. You got a big correction there. You get a 1, 2, 3 in this one. So we know when we see this, we're looking for running flats. So we know this is going to go up. But it doesn't mean it's going to go up from this one. That doesn't mean if we get a setup, we don't take the trade. We took a buy, we got some profit. And that's even the small buy. We've been buying this for quite a while too. Once we see it, we sold it, we've been buying. Some of you remember this buy, that trade call. You remember this trade call. You remember this trade call on Friday. And guess what? There are going to be more buys and sell setups in it until we go. But when you get that big move and it starts and you can prove it, that's the one you want to keep for a longer term. So is this the start of it? Well, we'll see. Guess what? If this makes a flag even, drop flat here, drop here, give us a reverse, give us a flag here, and we buy this and it breaks the stop, we can keep this trade for a very long time. Even if it goes like this and then start to reverse, well, you'll close it somewhere here. That's when you're going to see that it's reversing. But there's a good chance that if this doesn't go lower, right? If this piece here doesn't go lower, it stays right within this range and go back up, we could be starting. You want it to come much lower to this level. Go back up, and now you can assume that we're making a flat. And that will take quite a long time to happen, right? So no need to rush it, but you have an idea what you're looking at. Let's go. EuroCAD. You've got a sharp move, and this one is almost sure to go up because this one is making a running flat, right? We broke the top. Once you break the top, the assumption is you're making a running flat. So this comes back here, we're looking for upside. Can it be more complicated than that, even though it's a running flat? Of course. So right now, there's a good chance this piece goes up here, come back here. And if this becomes the biggest flat in that whole pattern, there's a good chance we will even do this, come back here, and then go. See? So this would be a sell. This could be a buy. This could be a sell, and then we'll go. How do we get it? Well, because we've been doing exactly the same thing here. Some of you would remember. I don't know if any one of you got it, but there was a buy setup here that some of us got. Once we saw this, we're like, okay, we can go for the buy now if we get it. If you didn't get the buy, there was a sell setup in this that we got. Even within this range, some of us trade. We saw the trades, we took it. So now what? Now this looks like, well, maybe it's going to break. We're not interested in that because even if you break this low here, two things are going to happen. This is the absolute low and we're going up, or this is the low in a bigger running flat and we go up. Make a running flat, go back down. Or this is the absolute low and we totally take off. So guess what? Ignore the sell, wait for the buy. If we get a buy setup from here, we'll take it. We don't have a buy setup, right? So we're looking for a buy setup right now. Either they drop, give us a low and then start to buy, or we get a running flat, we get a move to the upside, then we get moves to the downside. Euro Swiss. Let's go into 4 hour. This one we also thought was starting the upside when you got this, that trade there to the upside, but then they stop and they pull back. So we've got 1, 2, 3. They stop, they pull back. So it seems we're making consolidation here. We're going to drop. We'll probably go back up here, make a flat like this, and one more down, which is what I was saying when we saw this, that we had a big flat in here, and we never got it in this one. So maybe we'll get it here now. We'll go down. That will complete this, and then we can go up. That would make sense. So let's see if we have a sell setup here today. The sell setup is short term. You're getting a sell setup here. Go back up there. You'll get a sell, but it's short term, because this is the B part of that structure to probably come here and then go back up. So we can let this happen, take the trade if you want, and then go for this trade. And then the downside. Euro yen, that came down, right? We spoke about this coming down like this one last week. We spoke about this. We wanted this trade down, and we are getting it. It should break the low. That's the next problem. And then we're looking for a buy setup, right? Probably see if they break. If they don't break the low, it's going to be a contracting flat, but we were hoping that they break the low. If it comes to they break the low, that's your trade setup. Come here, break the low, and then look for that trade up. So if it breaks the low, we get a flag here. We can start buying that. If it doesn't break the low, you have to wait for it to come out and make a flag somewhere here before you can buy. Let's hope they break the low today. That would be a good trade. Euros, we're in the middle of nowhere. Exactly in the middle of nowhere, because we have one impulse, we have a correction down, we have a corrective structure up. This could either be a contracting flat, that's one option. The second option is we're now trying to make a running flat here. That's another option. If it is a contracting flat, this one is coming back to the low. If it is a running flat, we're going back to the top. So which of those two are possible? Let's go lower and watch inside here. We bought this already on Friday and closed it because it didn't go anywhere. Take this off. And right now, we don't really have very much. There is a correction here and a smaller pullback there and some correction in this. So this piece could be corrective if depending on how you look at it. So if you get a flag set up here, I think we can go for the sell. And we will go with a contracting flat in the middle here, right? The possibility of a contracting flat in the middle here. That is possible. We can use that option if we get a sell set up. If they do tag you in a trade, come down, break the low, and start to go back up, you will take break even, and then we'll look for buy setups to the upside. We'll have to get an impulse and a flag before we get a buy setup. Euro pound. Okay, finally we may be going down, right? They broke the top. We will go with this is all the consolidation here. And we're going down. So we spoke about this on Friday and we were trying to get the sell. I didn't see it I didn't even see this fall happening. Was it this morning or was it Friday? I can't remember seeing that. I'm seeing it for the first time now. So I might have seen this come down here, but I didn't see this going there. So it might have been today this happened. I'm in the 1 hour, so it could definitely be part of today. So we were looking at two things here. Either this thing is going to consolidate and take off. We'll go with contracting flats, or we'll go with the flat we were looking at all the time, which is the running flat. Right? So I think now what we need is still confirmation for either of those. Because at this point, if we get a flag here, it confirms the sell, break the low. This is a trade you don't want to miss. If this thing reverses, which means if they go back up like this, right, we can look at all of this as well. However we want to look at it. It could be a big flat. We'll come back and look at that. Any move that gives you a flag to the upside here becomes a buy. We will go with the contracting flat, right? Either of those are possible. We'll go with this, not such a nice one, but a possible contracting flat. I wouldn't say it's the best contracting flat. I don't even like the idea of it, knowing how I like contracting flats. So let's see. If we get a flag, we sell. If we get an impulse and a flag, we buy. It's that simple. One of those two patterns will prove themselves out. I'm more inclined to the downside because it looks better. Just looks better, that's all. CAD, reversal or no reverse, pound Swiss, sorry. At this point, we looked at all the Swiss pairs this morning, right? Two ways to look at it. This is the low. This is a big expanding, big running flat, and we're going up. Take this out, put this like this, and put this like that. That's some kind of an expanding. Well, you can put it as triangle, but it's not a triangle. We looked at it. So a series of expanding flats. If that is a series of expanding flats, this one is going to go down, right? Which means for this piece, we might go with this as that running flat. That is also possible, but I don't think that is the one it is. So I still think this is going to go up. So what you need to do is put it back here for now. We had a flag here this morning. It's a pretty small one. They're pulling back. So after a small flag like that, it's okay that they make a bigger one and look for that trade up. If this stays in that consolidation above the 50% there with a sideways move, we're going to look for a buy. If it is going to drop to the low, I think you know what to do. We got the sell on Friday. For that's Friday or Thursday, I can't remember. We got the sell because of that. You allow this to drop, make a flag like this, and you can sell it. So this drop, make a flag like this, and you can sell it back to the low. Your sell would be a good one because we'll break all these lows, which means it's maybe a bigger trade. The buy would be a good one because if we get a buy here, we're going back way back to the top. So today, this one should be in focus. I'll take it off there, but it should be in focus because it doesn't matter which side you get the trade. It will be a big trade. It's either going to be a big drop or a big upside. What are the bigger picture telling us? Both of those are possible. Where we are right now, you could make an argument for this downside. Pretty clear, right? Or you can make an argument for this, making one more up here and then finishing up that move. Both of those are very possible patterns. So we're looking for a turning point, and we don't know whether it's over and we're getting the turning point or whether it's still in the turning point. Let's see which one we get. Wait for the flag here on the 1 hour. At least on the 1 hour, you want a flag here. You've got 2 hours sideways. If we get another 5, 6 hours, this is a small flag, so this one will have to be bigger than that, and then go. So you'd have to wait until tomorrow or the day after to get that trade. If they're going to fall, you'll get a trade today or tomorrow, because if they're going to fall, they're going to do this, and then you get a flag somewhere in here. You'll get a flag for downside, a small one, not a big one, something like this for the sell. And that will drop until it breaks the low and then make a bigger correction and then go. Punkat, there's a little more upside, we think, in this pattern. But again, we have this big flat here. We had a bigger one here as well. We'll have to see. This could either go here and then come back. If it just breaks this top, which they just did, I think, and starts to come down, that will make a bigger correction here. We'll be stuck in some huge corrective structures, complex corrective structures. So our plan was that it's going to go here, make a top and come back, and that would be perfect. Seems it's not going to get that perfection right now, right? If it goes, we get the buy. If it doesn't go, we'll have to just wait and see what happens when it reaches that top, right? Silver, by the way, made a new low and it's going back up. So let me just show you very fast. We'll come back to this. Yeah. So watch this here. If it goes there, we'll get a trade. If they start to come down from here, we'll look for a sell setup, because it's going to be 1, 2, 3. And then we will go back up here for a running flat. Or we'll still go back up for the running flat. We can sell it or we can buy it. When you're in a sideways move like this, you have options for both sides of the trade. So let's go see what gold and silver are doing. Gold is going up. You can put your entry order. Gold is a perfect flat for a buy. Silver is kind of going up, but it's going up still within this consolidation. See? It didn't tag me, which is surprising because I had the entry order there. And that is because my platform, my broker platform will not get it to that point, right? That's the only reason I'm not tagged, because basically if you tag, you keep your stop above here if you're tagged in it, because you see you're making 1. This is still a 1, 2, 3. This is still a flat looking pattern for now. Even if this is trying to go up, you really don't want to buy it when you're in the consolidating in the lower half of the impulse. Let them break out, make a flag above the top there, and then we start to buy. Because this could stop right where it is and drop again. So my entry order is still there. I'm not removing it. I'm not tagged in it, but I'm not removing it. So which means I'm still there. If you're tagged in it, make sure you keep a stop here, and then you'll manage the trade from there. Let's go. That is Punkat, Pung Swiss, Pung Oz. Let's see what Pung Oz is telling us. 4 hour. This is what we have. This looks more downside to me. I don't see any other version but downside, because this looks like a flat, but in some platform, this is the low, which leaves it open for this possibility of a running flat, go back to the top there and then come down. I think some platform has that. Mine showing that this is the lowest. So we would leave both options open, that FXCM is wrong and the rest are correct, or they're wrong and FMCM is correct. So what we will look for here to decide which one it is. Well, it's simple. This is the first move up. Either we get a correction here and we take off, we will buy this, or either they come back down all the way to the bottom, maybe without us getting a trade here, go back up to the top, we see this, and we decide to sell. This sell will be till by the end of the week. The buy could be today. So if they make a flag, we're buying today. Right? If the flag stays there where it is, we buy today. If it's going to make a flat, we might not get a trade until the end of the week. On New Zealand, looks like a reversal. Right? This is the only one now that looks like a reversal, because we're in this pattern. And remember, take that off. We actually, some of us bought this last week. So what we're saying is that at this point, you could make a new high and then drop, right? Which is possible. Or you could just make a deep correction here and then drop, which is possible too. So with one move up only, that was a small running flat at the bottom that broke out. So with one move up, that's not a clue as to what it's going to do. If this breaks, we buy. If this stays here as a flat and go up, we'll buy. Definitely we'll buy. If it's working, it's way down back. And we see any sell setup, we could go with it until you come to the low. Because if it comes down back, it's likely going to come down as a correction, go back up there, make a flat, and then drop. That would be the trade setup that we'll get. Pangyan? Well, this seems to be doing what we want it to do. This might be the only thing doing what we wanted it to do. So we can pull this here now. And we can make a number of assumptions of how this trade should go or what we think it is doing. I still think this is one big running flat in the making. So if it makes a top and start to drop, we'll sell. That is the plan, right? It's consolidating on the lower part of this impulse at very low. So all of this should be some kind of a running flat for a sell setup. Now, inside of it, we'll have to see if there's a possibility for more waves in it. Now, I'm not going to go through that. That'll take a long time. Each piece and see whether there are more ups and downs before it goes. Now, this is perfect. This doesn't have anything stopping this, right? We have the perfect flat. We have a top. We have a reversal. We're getting a flat. We're going down. This is easy. This is the easy one. Of all the pong pairs that looks ups and downs and downside possible ups, this one is the clearest. So stick to the sell here. Let's see if we can stick to the sell here. And if we get that sell, we think we know where it's going. Just like all the pong pairs. You might have just completed a huge running flat pattern or downside. So you want to start trading this very carefully, but don't miss it. Don't try to get in too early. You guys in the trading room watch this very carefully. We'll look at it just after we finish this webinar, and then we'll come back and look at it for the rest of the day, and we'll keep our eyes on it, right? I don't think this could be a smaller flat here. We looked at that possibility for a smaller one in here. It could still be a big running flat in this piece, which means you come down, you go back up, you come down, you go back up, and then you fall, right? Both of those options are left open. New Zealand Swiss, look for a buy setup. It's very easy. Look for a buy setup, and we'll see if you get a flag here, you take the trade. New Zealand CAD, look for a buy setup. If you get a flag, take the trade. CAD Swiss, maybe a sell. That sell would have been a break even. You might get a sell here. If you look at this, you might get a sell here for one more down. At least one more down. Take the trade, take profit. Put this here. Let's go. Okay, this one made a new high. If you're buying here, be careful. We spoke about that this morning. If you're trying to buy here, be careful. It made a new high. Watch for it. We're looking for the downside now. We need an impulse and a flag. The buy this morning was a possibility. It didn't. If you're looking for the shorter term one, we warned about it. Remember that this morning? It didn't go. You wouldn't have been anywhere. That didn't go anywhere, right? So you got a new high, which was the bigger possibility for this to do, right? To break the top. Let's see if we get a reversal. Let's see if we get a reversal, and that is what we're looking for, because we're looking for the downside of this thing. Or we're looking for this to start the drop. That's a trade you want. You don't want it to break the top. If it breaks the top, it becomes a running flat. UK, all right. Okay, this looks like we're going to go up more, right? Because they're consolidating here. So that looks like we're going to get a push, and we might end up coming to the top here. Then come back here and then go. This would all be just a big running flat, right? Because this is where all most of the corrections are. So you've got to be careful though, because how high this go is anybody's guess, right? Remember, it could go up, but that would be just a big guess. It could just break the top and turn. So if you're taking the trade, you have to be cautious. Right? Nothing's wrong with taking the trade, just have to be very cautious, right? We had a flat here, by the way, and then we made a new high, and this is coming down, but it's coming down really slow. See? It's coming down more like a corrective structure for the upside. So you'd have to be careful. I don't see the buy setup very clearly, and there isn't the sell setup very clearly. There is this small flag. That doesn't mean anything. All it means is a drop like this, see? And go right back up. So let's wait and see. If I'm going to go with a sell, I want this to drop really fast, make a flag, and then sell. Not these smaller ones. I don't want the small impulse because they're within the range of a correction. It has to break out of that range. If I wanted to buy, I wouldn't be buying it here either. Let it go up a little more, make a flag, and then that would be a good buy setup. So let's wait and see. US oil, same thing. Very similar structure. All the bigger correction is at the downside of the impulse. You can see that here. You've got this, and you get all the correction at the bottom here. So this could go a little more, it could go a little more, it could go a little, and then you're expecting this. Can they get all the way to the top? Well, we've seen oil does that quite often, running flats. You can go back, and I showed, to most of the traders, a lot of these running flats we have. Maybe not on this one so much, but look, this was a running flat. This was a running flat. We've got a series. This is a running flat. This one came back all the way to the top, but not a running flat. This one came back all the way to the top, but not a running flat. So can it go back to the top and then come down and then go? Possible. US 30. This thing is going up crazy. See that? A lot of divergence from here, but it keeps going up, up, up. So at some point, you're going to get a fall, right? At some point, you're going to get a fall. So you'll have to wait for an impulse down and a flag to go for the trade. All right, so far, nothing. It's still going up. This could be a small flat here. That still goes up. So let's wait. They seem to be making a consolidation here. Can we assume that this is the top of the move and this is trying to go down? Let's see. You could make an argument for that this is a small consolidation of its own. That is the top. This is the reversal, and you're getting a flag here for a sell. Those of you who trade this stuff, you might want to watch it in the New York session. Because either they're going to drop, they're going to drop to make a much bigger flag. And I mean a much bigger one, not this small size one, a bigger one than that, and continue to go. Right? Something as big as this, which would give you a lot of move to the downside. They're going to drop to make a bigger one like this. Right? Or either this thing could be falling totally. There's a good chance for that. You may want to keep an eye on it. Natural gas? Sorry, not natural gas. Yeah, natural gas. Why is it so low? Put it here. Well, finally, we broke the top. So now you'll take this out and we'll look at this option. Let me go to the 4 hours so you can see this. So take this out as well. This is what we're looking for. This looks like a flat for one more down. So what would negate that? What would make this the low? And this one is totally going up. Any correction here that is big enough to convince us that that's a big impulse coming there. I'm more inclined to believe that is a flat for downside, right? So be careful here. If it starts to drop and give you sell setup, go for it, because that is a trade back to this low. Maybe a number of trades back to this low. US 30 we did already. Nasdaq kind of going sideways. Looks more up. See, this is going up. You're getting another one, maybe a one like this. You pull back, you start to go up like this. Watch it. If they start to go up like that, that's a good chance they're going to break. It's not going up very aggressively, right? You had a big running flat here, perfect running flat. They broke the top, but they're not going anywhere, as well as they're not coming down to, right? So this is telling us there's a running flat forming here. So if they come back here, that's a running flat for upside. This is a smaller version of that trade. So it's kind of making correction, but mostly for upside. This is also looking upside. More correction than, you had this flat, you go up, you get a smaller one, you go up, you get a smaller one, you go up. Wait to see what they do here. And if it comes back high like that, you get a flat here and upside. Right? If they drop, that's a sell setup, but it could be a short-term one. Put the sell and see. We are at a very high point, right? Every sell you get, you should take it. We're at a very high point. See? At some point, they have to correct that thing, and the correction could be pretty huge. Like this or like this. So keep your eyes on that. Correction buys you can take, but that will have to be like every buy you take, you go treat like that's going to be the last one. Let's go. Next. Got a buy here. That's an easy one. AU200, you're probably going to get another buy here. So you had a 1, 2, 3, they go up. They're making a flag here. They probably go up. If they start to go up slow like that, it's going to, momentum is dying out, but we'll break this top. Nifty? Nothing. It's still consolidating. And we're still within this range. They're not going up or down as yet. So they're kind of doing this. At some point, they'll do this. And they'll come back down and then go. So if you're trading his, you have to be very, very, very careful. And it has a lot of gaps in it, which is, I think, stay out of the consolidation, wait for a perfect setup, then take the trade for the upside. We don't have the downside. It's still showing like a big consolidation for upside. So the question is whether Tesla is ready for the sell. Is whether this is ready for a drop. That's the only question now. When is the sell coming? Amazon, maybe a little more up, maybe slightly more up, maybe a drop from there. That is okay. That is possible. Or a little more up and then the drop. Working perfect, right? What in the big picture this is telling us? In the big picture, it looks sideways, right? Which means it can come back to about the 200 for the 2000 from 3004 to 2008, maybe a little lower than that. Maybe they can go like this and then go up. But because the flat is at the top, right? Because that big flat is at the top. When we get this down move, we're assuming they might not go very far and then they might go back up. That's the assumption. Now, what if this is a big flat for a much bigger downside? That is possible. This will still be your first impulse down. Normally, most patterns don't go that way, right? They don't reverse that way. Let's see. But this is a very close to top that could turn. It's pushing up a little, but you don't have really buy setups. I don't see a buy setup here. Wait for it to see if it's a flag, and if they drop, go for the trade. The buy setup will take a longer time. You have to have a flat there. Psja. Okay. Psja Finance. Psja. Let's see what this is doing. It's looking more downside. We might be heading to make this running flat. I have to check to see if this belongs to anything. If not, we could be going for this running flat here. So there's a little more downside there. Look for the sell setups. Reliance also going down. Look for the sell setup. It's going to come some more, break the low, and then we'll look for upsides. PayPal, the downside also might be starting very soon. Right now, it's not convincingly going down. They're kind of still pulling up. They're kind of still consolidating here for one more. But if this drops lower, look for the sell. Let's go. Bitcoin. Okay, they finally came down. So the question now, is this the running flat? I'm telling you, watch it, they're coming for that one. So it's finally here. Is that the running flat? Because if that's the running flat, you're going to get another impulse up, right? Easy. Wait to see if you get a correction here. If you get a correction or a flag, go for the buy. If they make a bigger correction here, go for the sell. If this turns out to be a bigger correction here, we'll get one more drop and then the upside. It can still trade one more drop and then the upside. See, this was a big correction. They still drop and drop twice before they go back up. So 1 second, did I stop the sharing? Workplace, let me see, share my screen again. I might have accidentally clicked the wrong button. Share my screen again, sorry. I hope I'm still on. Somebody give me yes. I just think the screen sharing stopped for a second. Yes, good, great. Yes, so this is the running flat I was telling you about. Wait to see when it's in, and then you have another move to the upside. Right? Once that is finished, you got another move up. So wait for this to finish whatever it's finishing. And then you get another impulse up. So you probably get to the 70,000. And then you want to make sure you bail out. Right? If you get that another move up, you better be ready to bail out as fast as possible, because from that point on, the drop is coming anytime. XRP, we've got a pullback, but it's not exactly it could still be this one in the making, but it took a while to come. That took quite a long time to come. Okay, we were expecting it earlier, but it could still be this. You got that, you get this, and then you go. So if you get a flag here, you're going to drop one more. I think you might be in a consolidation here for a while. Yeah, you could get a consolidation here. You could get a consolidation here. Get one more drop. They could consolidate longer here. Get one more drop and then upside. I don't think the upside is finished. I just think they're pulling back because we were expecting some kind of a pullback based on this pattern that we had. Get back to the daily based on this pattern here. So what you'd want to see here, if they're going to repeat that, is a daily consolidation here, and then a drop and then upside. That would confirm what we think we're looking for. See, I thought it's gone because this was very sharp, so I wasn't expecting that pullback. But let's go. It's still more upside. So this will probably take the same time that Bitcoin will take to finish that big running flat. 1 hour trades. I don't think anybody's shorting it, so it's a waste of time, but it looks more like a short for the downside. This one was perfect. We did drop very nicely. And you could go with 1, 2, 3 for this, or you could go with this entire piece as a big running flat here, whichever one you want to look at. I think this one is a separate running flat of its own here. This is just a bigger correction of its own here. I think this is a separate one. And this is more of a bigger expanding flat here. You could probably see more upside here. It's very possible. Wait for flags on 1 hour. You get 1 hour flags by. Okay, so is this the drop we were expecting? It's a bit short. But I think it can go. It can work. It's already reversing, so that should be it. I don't think we're going to get more, but it worked, right? You remember this? It came back. So now you just have to wait for a flag here and buy. ACH. Yep, the magic works. It took a longer time than I expected, but it works. So you can easily say, okay, now we've got it. So tell me again that the patterns don't work on cryptocurrencies. Really? They don't? I think some traders have been convinced that they don't work in cryptocurrencies. Well, they work. Just that sometimes they take a little longer than I expect, right? So you got it. Now you can go up. It can either come a little more too, because this one had a pullback here. See, this had a pullback, and they drop one more. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop one more and then go. But after that, you're ready for the buy. So any buy setup you get, you can take it. The sells you can ignore now, because more or less it's finished. Dash, or at least it looks like it's finished. Not it's finished. Okay, and there you get it. You can actually go with this one. And we can make an argument that this one is finished and it's going up. And you can make an argument for that. It's finished and it's going up. Look for buy setups. Come here and look for buy setups. Okay. Can they drop one more? Let's see if there's more drop. Yeah, you could pull back and drop 1 or 2 more and then go. But if you get buy setups, take it. Right now, it looks like it's going to drop one more. But if I get buy, I'll take it if I was buying this. What is this now? Perfect running flat for buy. All of them have it, so it's easy. You can see it clearly here now. Go for the buy setup. What is the LTC? Why did we want this to go lower? Okay, for this one here, right? So this one would be what size? This one would be more like that. So let's see. Maybe it's over. Maybe one more down. You can make an argument for that. Maybe one more down still. So I'll be careful because maybe you still get one more down here. See? We have to put it like this, or it can come one more down there and then make it like this. I think that is possible. So if you get buys, take it. But if they're going to drop one more, that will work. It doesn't have to go from that point. And ADA. Well, this seems to be pretty much doing nothing. You can go with 1, 2, 3. I don't think this is the equivalent of this one. I wouldn't go with that pattern. We have to relook at this one to see what pattern it's making. I don't think maybe you can go with this piece as an expanding flat. That might be better. Right, like 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, that's an expanding flat. Watch for this up, and then maybe you still get this down. Okay, this one is not the best one. So, okay, guys, I think we can call it a day on that one. It's finished. So, I would see all of you in the room in a minute when we close the recording. We'll go through the trades we're looking for, the sell setups and the buy setups we're looking for, and then we'll take a break. We'll come back. I think by then we'll be ready for the another update, and then immediately into the class. Today's introduction to wave analysis. And then after that, we'll go for the New York session. Just immediately once you finish, take a short break right to the New York session. And then we'll see from there, right? So today's a very busy day. I'll stop the recording. You guys come right back into the room.